Movie Nut here with a review for Pacific Heights, the 1990 thriller starring Michael Keaton, Melanie Griffith, and Matthew Modine. The story follows Patty Palmer and Drake Goodman, a young couple who buy a property in the San Francisco neighborhood of Pacific Heights, with plans to renovate it and rent it out. However, a prospective tenant by the name of Carter Hayes comes along and decides to rent out a room there. Soon, Hayes causes all sorts of trouble, turning the house quickly into a cockroach-infested hellhole. Though the couple try to get him out of the house, Hayes finds ways to not be evicted, and ultimately it drives the couple to breaking point. The acting all around is actually really good. Now, of course, because Michael Keaton is the villain here, I have to talk about him first, and wow, he pulls it off effortlessly. He switches from nice, humble tenant guy into just a ruthless, complete and utter bugger. Keaton really sells his performance. He's menacing, intimidating, but at the same time charming, like all good psychopaths are. Matthew Modine and Melanie Griffith, while not exactly the most memorable couple, do their roles well, and you do genuinely feel that the two love each other. And this sort of strange triangle between Keaton, Griffith, and Modine actually works really well and does genuinely create tension in a lot of scenes, especially later in the film, which I won't spoil, but needless to say, it can get really intense. And what's so great is the fact that it starts off as really unassuming, and then the film just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. But again, we'll go into that when we talk about script. The locations are not much to write home about. It's San Francisco. It's shot well, it's nice sunny days, but at the same time there are a couple of night shoots at hotels which look good, but really there isn't much to comment on, though of course the dark den that is Hayes' room when he starts to mess with the house does look genuinely really creepy. And that's testament to John Schlesinger's abilities as a director. And it does genuinely create that frightening atmosphere, especially with Keaton sat in the dark smoking with only one light looking onto him. It is a really cool but very, very scary, intense moment. And it could easily have just come out of any good slasher movie. The music by Hans Zimmer is serviceable. While it doesn't have the memorable themes or classic iconography that, say, the score for Psycho does, but it serves its job. It creates tension when it needs to, and even though it isn't as electronic and sort of overdone as some of his later scores, it does what it needs to and nothing more. And in a sense, when you think about it, that's a good thing, because at the end of the day, film music should really be able to complement the film rather than overdo it. And now we come to, of course, the script, which of course also plays into things like pacing. And of course, being a thriller, pacing is vital. If it's too slow, it won't work, and if it's too quick, the audience will have no idea what's going on. Pacific Heights, though not the perfect type of thriller like, say, Psycho, is brilliantly paced. It moves at a good enough pace for me to be able to take in the story, and also to really explore Carter's menace and to see how manipulative and cunning he is. And it does genuinely wrench at your hearts to see this young couple being, in effect, bullied and intimidated and antagonized by this mysterious man. And the film works because it knows what it's doing. As I said, it's not perfect. There were moments where it did definitely feel like, oh yeah, seen this before, seen this before, seen this before. But the thing is, moments of Hayes being in the darkness with only a light shining on his face are genuinely really creepy. And Schlesinger, being a veteran director, really gets in some pretty good shots that create a sort of twisted reality in many ways. Though the film is set in the real world, he finds inventive ways to shoot, like underneath floorboards or through roof vents. It is genuinely, interesting how he does it. And the dialogue itself works. You really buy that at the beginning that Carter could be this nice, guy in a bit of a pickle, but then as the film goes on and he becomes darker and darker and darker, you begin to understand just how much of a psycho this guy is and how determined he is to get what he wants. and that does genuinely create tension. Even though the love element about it between the young couple is a little cheesy and been there, done it sort of deal, it works, and it works to contrast against this sort of brooding, determined psychopath that Keaton plays. And I feel that a good thriller will always have good characters that work with the pacing, and Pacific Heights is a perfect example of this. The film plays into this idea of sort of the psychopath could be anyone and anywhere, and the fact is that though he may look like a nice guy, and though he offers the young couple a lot of money in return for renting out the room at the house, he can quickly make their lives living hell. And it's just so interesting to see how it just spirals downward and how the couple keep getting in worse and worse and worse trouble. And so I must give Pacific Heights a silver star. While it's not exactly up there with classic thrillers like Psycho, it is pretty damn good. The pacing is razor sharp, the cinematography is pretty good, especially with the sequences with Keaton, and of course the work of Keaton and the couple played by Griffith and Modine definitely create a good contrast of characters that do sell this very dark, very, very unsettling tale about how things can go from heaven to hell in very little time.